In this lesson, we will continue to talk about FreeCAD. We will continue to explore FreeCAD. We're going to do it little by little, step by step. So don't worry if you're not an expert. We're going to do everything from the beginning. We're going to start with really simple steps and operations. So what I will show you here is to create basic shapes or 3D solids using the part design workbench. But let me just go back to the initial part. So I'm going to go to File and close this project right here. So this is the welcome screen we already know. And we can now start by creating a new parametric part. Now, in the previous video, we had a look to the BIM or Building Information Modeling sample. If you're interested in BIM, you also have like other option like Revit from Autodesk. Or if you want to just do the 2D drawings, you can use AutoCAD and also LibreCAD and other applications. Some of these are free, some of these are for sale. And also if you want to do 3D, you have like 3ds Studio Max or Cinema 4D, etc., etc. Now in FreeCAD, we can see here, we can do architecture, we can do 2D drawings, we can do 3D modeling. So in this video in specific, we're going to start with some really simple 3D modeling. And again, I'm going to go here every time I want to close a file, I can go here and close. And so we can use FreeCAD also for product design or industrial design or CAM, CAD, etc., etc. Now, when you open up a model, you can always investigate how it's have been created. So we can see here on the hierarchy that this is an assembly. So it's a container that contains a lot of different parts, a lot of different components. Now, these parts are called body, or each one of these, it's a different, you see here, different piece. And each of these pieces have been modeled using probably a 2D sketch, and then it has been combined with others, like with Boolean operations and things like that. So we can investigate here and discover all the various parts of these sample files. Now, I want to show you something even simpler. So I'm going to close also this one here, close. I don't want to save the changes, so discard. Now, down here in the examples, you also have some really basic example like this one here, which is a part design. This is a single piece, a single body. You can see here, this is a body. And also it contains all these other stuff. So what is all this other stuff here? Well, a single body can contain different elements. So, and I can go always back and forward with this. And this is the beauty of parametric design. It's not so beautiful in terms of, many details like organic modeling or sculpting, but it's good because you can always go back and forward. So we can see here that this was generated by an extrusion, and then, well, actually it started with a sketch. So if I double click, I can enter the sketch that has been generated or defined to then be extruded and create the rest of the object. And then we added a pocket. So there's a Boolean here subtracting part of the initial object. So you can see all the steps. And then also this was created using a sketch. And then we have another pocket, so another hole. And then also this was created by another sketch. And finally, we have this other like subtraction right here. So the final result is this body right here. So a body is a component, an element that can be generated with many different steps that can be always be retrieved, and you can always change them using parametric design, parametric parameters inside the object. I want to close now this file. I don't want to discard the changes again. So we're going to create a new. So what new file are we going to create? What new project? Well, it's going to be a parametric part. You can see here we have other options, but we're going to start with this. We're going to go really simple, increase level of difficulty little by little. So I will create a new one. And first of all, we can select the various element here. So we have this is called body. So I can call this like component 1 or whatever. And here you can also give a label to this. So basically you're naming this. We can call this project 01. And then we have origins. Now origins, let's turn this on. Well, these are basically work planes that we can use. And also down here we have X, epsilon, Z. Now I've changed the navigation from down here into Blender because I'm accustomed to use Blender. So I find it easy. I can press the scroll wheel to have orbit, shift and scroll wheel to do the pan, and then scroll the scroll wheel to do the zoom. But you can use any other here. You can use Maya or Revit, whatever you want to use. Okay. And before we get into some action here, now we're already created a part, but it's an empty part. We don't have anything here that it's really a solid or something that can be printed in 3D or can be visualized. We have a bunch of tools here we can use, and also the toolbar on the top to do other operations. But before we get into that, let me go back quickly into the preferences. And maybe we'll come back here later on to see something more. But let's go through really quick to something you can use since the beginning. Now, of course, we talk about the language. You can always change the language. You can change the theme. I'm using the dark because the other are a little bit more stressing. Dark is more relaxing. And you can change also the size of the toolbars icons. So you can make it even bigger if you want to see better. So just apply. So we can see a little bit better here. I think I'm going to stick with this so you can see a little bit better. And then, well, also you can see I've saved a preference pack. If you want, you can save your preference pack. So you can call it, custom pref and save it. So now I can choose one or the other. I can also manage. I can delete one of these. I can go back to another one. I can import also. So let me proceed here. So document. You can create a new document as when you start up directly or not. You can also, something I think it's interesting is to set up the auto recovery information. Maybe you wanna like save this more frequently, like 5 minutes. So you can do auto saving, which is important. And we just go, this is the default license author name. If you want to put your name and you want to set it on the save company, if you have a company. Now, selection. I'm going to keep the colors of the interface that are by default because I don't want to confuse. I'm going to use the standard settings, but if you want, you can change the color for the pre-selection and for the selection. Now, pre-selection is when you like underline a part before even selecting it. When you click with the left mouse, it's going to be selected. You can change these colors if you want. I'm going to keep the defaults. And then you have peak radius and other settings. You don't need to like change everything from the beginning. Well, actually be careful not to mess around too much. Cache, this is where the temporary information will be stored. So you can change and use another hard disk, but I only have one, so I'm going to use one. And then you can like check the cache. You can change the limit of the cache here. You can increase or decrease. And let me go forward here. You can change again the colors of the messages. This is the part for the help source. Display. So 3D view. Now, if you have problems with your graphic card for any reason, you can mark this on. You can check this box on because this is going to help you. And you can see if I roll over with the mouse and just wait a second, it's going to give you the explanation of that preference that you want to turn on and off. Anti-aliasing, you can improve or make this better and quicker, or you can make it less performant and a little bit lighter, etc., etc. Light source. Now this is for other stuff we're gonna see later. Navigation. This is where you can change the behavior of the mouse and also rotation mode, orbit style. You can change this in turntable, trackball. free turntable, depending on what project you're working on. Camera zoom, so things about the 3D view essentially, and then other colors here for the background color. You can also put a gradient instead of a simple color, where you have also like your radial gradient. Always press apply to see the difference. You can change the colors here. I'm just gonna keep again the defaults. And workbenches. Now these are the different interfaces we're gonna use. For example, in this initial part, we're gonna use part design, which is already loaded and it's on, and it has been in use right now. But if you don't want to use some of these, for example, this, I can turn it off, or I can just load and unload. Now everything here is done with Python. If you want to know more, Python is a programming language. So once you know that, you can also get into the code and do more advanced stuff. Import export, this is where we can define how objects will be exported and imported. So some basic settings here, like scaling factor, tessellation, etc. Measures, now this is the appearance. You can increase the text size, the text color for the measures. Then you have materials for like advanced visualization, default material, part design, sketcher settings. This is for the 2D drawing, and you can set up like a grid spacing and stuff like that, etc., etc. So I think it's going to be good enough for now. Let's go and start something. So I'm going to apply. Again, if you want to save your own set of preferences, you can do it. So let's go back here to our first project. And this is our first part, which is empty. Now, to start with something simple, we can go here in these yellow buttons here, and I can click, and I can create a simple box, which is going to be an additive box. So you need to understand that there are like additive shapes and subtractive. This is adding something to the scene. And there's your box. Let me move around. So quickly memorize the shortcut keys for the navigation. This will save a lot of time. And so now I can see that yellow, it's a preview of the box I'm creating. Now on the left side, now I have the parameters. So this is what it means parametric. It means that I can come here and give some really precise measures to this. So right now it's 10 millimeters. I can make it like 14 millimeters length, 20 millimeters width, and then maybe 2 millimeters thick. So it's a really small object. And also I can click with the arrows up and down to change it with intervals of 1 millimeter. And I can also scroll my scroll wheel when I am in a slot with the parameter values. So this is a value you can set using arrows, using precise numbers, using the scroll wheel. You also have this little button, which is going to open the expression editor, where you can be more like advanced in terms of generating a parameter, but we're going to do that later. And then we have attachments, and here we have offsets. But let's keep it simple. Let's say okay, and now you can see your first object and the origin. Now origin tends to go in the way here in the visualization, so this is why they are like turned off by default, and usually they open up when you go and create your object. Your objects is always in referring to the x epsilon z space, which is down here. This is the icon representing x, epsilon, and z. And by the way, this is something also you can find in the preferences. I think I skip it, but is this one here, show coordinate system in the corner. So you can show or hide the coordinate system, but I think it's good, it's helpful. And you can also change the size. So let's make it like double up 20%, and also change the letter color into something like white so we can see it better, and apply. And you can see this is a way you can customize the interface little by little. Don't do anything you don't really understand. And so we created the first box. Now we can also change the name here. So if we select it in a hierarchy, we can go down here and call it like object 01. And you have also the other information here. So if I double click now, I can enter again and I can change it. So parametric, it's like reversible. You can always go back, change it, adjust it however you want, and then say okay, and that's it. Now, of course, this is going to be really simple right now, but we're going to do more complex things later. Now, also, you may notice that we now have like edges, faces, and points. This is how 3D models are composed in any other software also. So we can use those later for different purposes. Now let's create another primitive. So I'm going to go here again, and let's add a cylinder. There you go. Now, also you can use, remember, the cube to go in a 2D fashion and move around to see like from different views. Sometimes it's better to create objects to be in the front. Sometimes it's better to be on the top. Now you can pre-visualize the cylinder that you are creating right now. Now let's say I click this edge. Now you can see now this edge has been used to be the axis of the revolution of this cylinder. So the cylinder will be placed differently in that position. And we can now work with the parameters. So we have the radius, we have the height, and that's it. We don't have any other dimensioning parameter right now. But make sure you also check the other parameters, like for example, the angle on the first direction. Let's see what it is doing. You can see it's kind of distorting the object. You can tell by the top view. And then angle in the second direction. Again, we're gonna like distort. There you go. And then let's also apply a rotation angle. Now, rotation angle is essentially a slice. So we are like slicing the cylinder. So if we put like 180, it's going to be half of that cylinder like this. Now here I can also remove the reference. So you can just like delete, or you can apply other attachments. And down here, let me just okay, so I've attached another reference, and down here we can move, you can offset based on that reference. You can also rotate it. I'm always using the scroll wheel to rotate it. There you go. So I have some really strange intersection there. Let's apply, let's say okay. And now you can see we have these two objects that are like intersecting. And also they created additional lines like this one line here and this. So this is just a first example. It's just for you to start working here with the interface. There are other things to know, but I want to keep it simple, as I said. So I'm going to stop for this lesson right here. If you enjoyed, and by the way, you can always go back, double click. If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe and stay updated for the following lesson. And if you want, you can join the channel to support us and help us create more videos like this. You can check also our other courses, our other video guides in the channel. You can search using the search bar. So that's it for this first experiment here in FreeCAD in 3D modeling. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.